the diet does not finish until you hit 8% body fat. And that is where your life truly changes in every aspect. Yeah, you see, most guys, they finish their cut around 12, 13% body fat. They get a few compliments, see a bit of definition, and they settle. They think the job's done. And then they wonder why they still don't feel any different inside. They still feel average. Because 12% is the comfort zone. All right, it's lean, it looks okay, but nothing truly changes at 12% body fat. The standards don't shift. The identity doesn't shift. You just end up looking better than most of society, which isn't some mad achievement, all right? The bar has never been lower. Literally, most people today are soft, overweight, low energy, are just completely disconnected from any real physical standards. So looking better than them, it doesn't mean that you made it. It just simply means that you've escaped the bottom. Now, I imagine if you're watching this video, I'm guessing you're probably stuck around that 12, 13% body fat mark. You're not out of shape. You're maybe training a couple times a week. You're probably looking better than most of the lads around you. But that is the trap. All right, that is what's keeping you comfortable. You still know deep down that you got more in you. You still know you don't feel good enough. And I felt that, guys. Yeah, I used to be that guy who sat comfortably around that 12, 13% body fat around summer, thinking I was the man, thinking I was the bollocks, thinking that I got there. And then slowly I started slipping back into my old habits, skipping the sessions, the old excuses. And then before I knew it, I was back in that old identity that I thought I left behind. And I just got stuck in this whole cycle of getting in shape and losing it, and getting in shape and losing it, because that is the danger of stopping at comfortable. Yeah, you don't fully change. You just look a little bit better for a while. And trust me now, I know the difference. When I push myself in the gym, when I get down to that 8% body fat, it's a different ball game, guys. It is a different ball game. It is where your standards actually shift, all right? Not just physically, but in everything. In the way you train, in the way you eat, in the way you carry yourself, the way you show up in your everyday life. Yeah, the shit you tolerate. And trust me, guys, I now know the difference. And I just want to clarify before we get into the video, you don't need to live around 8%, all right, all year round. You don't need to live around 8% all year round. But the power of getting to 8% once, giving you that reference point, you literally can't unsee it. It sets the internal standard permanently where you literally can't go back to that old identity of you. You've now looked sharp as fuck. You now know what your body is actually capable of. You keep the promises to yourself and you actually followed through with the plan. And you can't go back to being soft, guys. It is impossible, all right? You do not tolerate being fat again. And when I mean being fat, guys, I'm literally talking 14% body fat plus. Yeah, honestly, that is fat in my book. Like, no man should be walking around above 12% body fat. And before I have all these fairies in the comments saying it's not healthy, it's not sustainable, you can't maintain that level of leanness the year round. Like, it's very sustainable, guys, all right? It's very sustainable with the right systems in place, setting yourself up properly, hitting your macros, hitting the daily habits, your training, your personalized blueprint, having a clear roadmap in place, and just actually acting in alignment with that standard today. Because here's the thing, guys. When I went all in, when I committed to going absolutely psycho on the physique, getting down to that 8% body fat, I didn't wait until I got there. Yeah, I actually had a clear goal in my head, in my mind, of what I actually wanted to achieve. I might have told this story a few times. I know I told it a few times over on my Insta, but I had Ronaldo's physique in my head, all right, for a few years. And when I got so sick of my current situation, I just wanted to look lean. I wanted to look athletic. And even when I had no definition, even when I was 20% body fat, skinny fat, no clear sign, no clear genetic potential that I had that physique in me, I started acting like that 8% version of me today. Yeah, before I even saw it. I had faith. I aligned with the habits, with the standards. I started visualizing it, guys. Yeah, living and acting like that person before I even seen what I actually looked like, what I was actually capable of. And this is exactly why every guy who comes into elite, the first thing I do is pull that picture out of them. All right, I get them to write down very clearly that 10x version of what they're actually going to look like, what they want to achieve in their physique journey, in detail, guys, in very fucking clear detail. Yeah, from the chiseled jawline to the carved abs to the bicep vein trickling down their arm. Like, just get very clear. Yeah, I give them a morning process that they literally follow through every morning. It's my identity calibration process. And this is where we get clear on the North Star goal. All right, not some vague goal, but just very specific on themselves. And they just start living to that standard today. Who they're becoming, the body, the habits, the character development. And it just makes it undeniable that they will get the results. All right, because this is the problem that I see most people do today. They wait. I said maybe they'll start acting differently when they look differently. Maybe when they got the body. Maybe when they lose the weight. And that is why they stay stuck, all right? Because the identity has to shift first. Like, I had to get a very clear picture in my head on who that 8% version of me was going to be. And I started making decisions through that lens before my body even caught up, all right? And that is alignment, guys. Yeah, that is alignment. Alignment between who you're actually becoming and how you're actually living. And that's what's going to kill that old version of you for good. All right. And there's not a morning I don't wake up and I don't go through this process. I don't go through this identity calibration process. And if you actually want me to send over my morning process, guys, just DM me the words elite over on my Insta and I will send it over to you. But I get very clear every morning on where I want to get to. And it's about patience, guys. Yeah, it's about patience. Patience is a skill that most people never acquire. And I knew all along, I knew it was coming. I knew there would be a day where I would look in the mirror and I'd finally get the physique I always wanted. The one I envisioned, the one I was writing down very clearly. And I remember looking in the mirror and I finally achieved it, guys. And I got goosebumps. Yeah, I literally got goosebumps. And what a feeling, guys. I was generally like, what the fuck? Like, I can't explain that feeling, guys. You have to go through it. But once you've seen that version of yourself, it's done, guys. Like, it's done. The old version of you is done, not temporarily, but for good. Because now you have evidence. Now you have real evidence. Not motivation, not some gay quote on your phone, not on your vision board, but actual physical proof you're capable of becoming someone different. And that actually changes how you go about, how you see yourself going forward. And this all bleeds into your everyday life. All right, not just the abs and the veins, but your whole operating system literally changes. All right, because when you get lean properly, it's not just about the body. Yeah, it's not about the body and the face changing, you know, the face getting sharper and your waist getting tighter and just your clothes sitting better. You know, you look more athletic, you look more put together, like you're just a good looking fucker now. But the biggest change is how you actually start moving through life, how you start walking into rooms, how you start carrying yourself, how you start speaking differently in social situations. All right, confidence, it comes to you automatically. Your energy changes, your aura. Yeah, you stop waking up with the brain fog that I used to do, guys. I used to be all sluggish through the day. I used to have these fucking afternoon crashes. All right, because when the daily habits are installed, the daily habits that actually built that 8% physique, you don't just have them in the gym. All right, it is your lifestyle, from how you eat, from how you train, from how you work, from how you operate, from the minute that you wake up, the minute that you wake out of your bed. All right, everything shifts, and people notice. All right, not just in the gym, but at work, festivals. Yeah, all these social events, guys. I remember when I got into elite shape for the first time and I went on holiday to Malta, and you have guys coming up to you at festivals, you know, respecting you, giving you handshakes. Yeah, these kind of events, guys. Women look at you differently on nights out, everywhere. People start asking questions on how did you do it? And opportunity, it starts appearing, you know, opportunity that wasn't there before. And it's not coincidence. It's because you're now operating at a frequency that most people around you aren't operating at. Yeah, because your body is now evidence. It's evidence that you follow through. It's evidence that you can delay gratification. It's evidence that you actually live by a standard. And when you have that real evidence, guys, that real physical, undeniable proof, everything in your life gets easier to win. But here's the thing I want to make very clear, right? Like I say, you don't need to be 8% year round. That is not the point. The point is to get there. And from there, we build a clean canvas. Yeah, you've hit it. You've held it long enough to actually feel it. You see it. You lock in that eternal standard. And that point on, it's 10% body fat. That is the year-round standard, guys. 10 to 11% body fat. I like to keep myself and my clients year-round. That is the standard we hold. All right, lean, sharp, high energy. You know, still looking like an absolute stud without all this constant bulking and cutting and rebounding and starting over every few months. But that only happens if the right systems are in place to begin with. Because if you just diet down to 8% body fat and you take a few photos, then you go straight back to the same lifestyle, you lose it all. That is shit, guys. Yeah, that is a shit fucking feeling. All right, and that is why inside my elite program, every guy gets taken through the physique roadmap journey. And, you know, we don't just throw you into some random diet and say, eat less and do more cardio. There is a process, all right? We first prime you and then we strip you down to that 8% body fat properly. And that means getting all that fat off whilst keeping your training performance high, your muscles, your routine, your structure intact, all right? You're not starving. You're not some miserable fucker, miserable fat fucker of yourself, all right? We're actually stripping down the body fat properly. And then once you've got that clean canvas, the tight waist, the sharp look, then we reverse you back intelligently. And again, this might take a few weeks, you know, food coming up, your training performance coming back up, your energy coming back up. But we're keeping the waist tight at this point because we've stripped all that body fat down. And you're looking leaner, you're looking fuller. You've got that tissue pressing against the skin. And that is the standards that we hold. And then from there, we run a performance phase. More food, more strength, more muscle, more output. All right? And not using it as, not using it to say that we're bulking, like for some excuse to get fat again. That is where most people messed up. They get lean and then they panic, and they get lean and they binge, or they get lean and then they call it a bulk, and it just slowly turns into you just turn into an absolute fucking mess, guys. And you just end up back at the old version of you, all right? That is not the game. The game is to actually strip you down and have that clean canvas to actually reverse off of properly, and then push your performance, and then just hold that lean year-round standard. And this is where the habits and the structure come into play. Because yes, the roadmap gets you there, but the habits and the weekly structure is literally what keeps you there. Yeah, your week needs to be mapped out before it even starts, with the training times, with the steps, the work blocks, the hydration, the macros, the food structure, all right, cutting all the vices, you know, alcohol, porn, one night stands with the minging birds, fucking fat people. They all got to go, guys. It all needs to be dialed in so we are holding that peak aesthetic. Because getting lean once isn't the win, all right? Keeping the body is the win. And you don't get that through motivation. You get that through a repeatable system that literally stops you drifting back to that old version of you. Yeah, we don't want any more of this back and forth, and we don't want any more of this getting in shape for summer and then losing it by October. All right, no more cycles, because we've built something that is actually permanent. Yeah, not just in your body, but in your identity, in your lifestyle. The lifestyle supports it. The habits support it. All right, you need to build a system that actually keeps you at that 10% version of you guys. Yeah, that is the whole game. And that is why it's so important to actually get down to that 8% version of you once. All right, that is a requirement for any man who is actually serious about dialing in on their physique, building an elite body, and just killing that old version of themselves, and just becoming the man who actually operates at the highest standards in every area, in their body, in their mind, in their lifestyle, in their identity. All right, so guys, if you actually want help doing this properly, there is a link below to my elite program. I'll actually show you how to take you through the physique roadmap. All right, we strip that body fat, we reverse you back out, we build lean tissue, we install the habits, the structure, so you actually keep the body and just let it become a lifestyle. But guys, I hope you took some value from this. If you've got any questions, you can fire me a message over on my Insta, Charlie Crawley Fit. But let's go, guys.